Bang! A precise hit from an American FGM-148 Javelin took out a Russian BMP-2 in Russia's Kursk region. Scenes like this used to be reserved for action movies, but now they're playing out in real life. Here's another spectacular moment. A Russian tank erupts into flames after meeting a Javelin missile. For 3 years of this large-scale war in Ukraine, the Javelin has become a nightmare for Russian armor and infantry. Today, we're diving into how this system has performed on the modern battlefield and showcasing its most jaw-dropping hits. In 2022, the Russians advanced into Ukraine with massive armored convoys. To level the playing field, the US has provided Ukraine with over 5,000 Javelin missiles in the last 3 years. For every Russian tank, Ukraine will have 10 anti-tank weapons, declared Secretary of State Antony Blinken. According to the manufacturer Lockheed Martin, the Javelin boasts a 94% hit rate in controlled test environments. But how does it perform in real combat? During the early months of the full-scale invasion, Ukrainian forces proved those numbers weren't just for show. Out of the 300 Javelin missiles fired, 280 hit their targets. What's the secret? High-quality weapons paired with skilled operators. Here's what that looks like in action. A Ukrainian paratrooper used his Javelin to single-handedly turn 4 BMP-3s and 3 Russian tanks into scrap metal during a battle near Marinka. Now that's what you call a productive day. His efforts earned him the Hero of Ukraine award. Smash that like button if you're impressed by this soldier's skills. And that's just one of many stories where the Javelin made all the difference at a critical moment. My sergeant and I took out 2 BMPs and 2 tanks, recalls a Ukrainian soldier. After the first successful hits on Russian armor, Javelin operators quickly became priority targets for Russian forces. They spotted our position. A massive wave of fire came down on us. Tanks, grads, everything they had. But we made it out fine. Not a single fragment hit us, just a bit of shell shock. Fortunately, the Javelin's long range allows infantry to remain unseen, quickly relocate after firing, and stay alive. It's effective at a range of 1.5 to 3 miles, depending on the missile type, C, D, or E. That gives you ranges of 1.5, 2, and 3 miles. This sentiment is echoed by another Ukrainian soldier who's faced some highly dangerous situations. At 1.5 miles, it hits great. It's best used defensively. You power it up, find your position, aim calmly, and fire. Here's how an ambush unfolded where a Javelin stopped a Russian assault in its tracks. We rolled out to the point, found the best spot to target enemy vehicles, and took out a Russian tank and BMP. The Russians were burning. Completing these missions often requires Ukrainian soldiers to put their lives on the line. During one operation, Russian forces managed to spot the Javelin operator and opened fire. One time, a tank almost hit us. A shell landed just 32 yards away. Had the Ukrainians not shifted positions in time, the situation could have ended tragically. Instead, they acted swiftly and delivered a decisive blow. We took out the tank. It was 1.3 miles away. And what happened to that tank? Something tells us it won't be seeing any more action. Since 2022, Ukrainians have been employing a strategy of maneuver defense, and the FGM-148 Javelin has proven to be a perfect fit for this approach. It's highly mobile and lightweight. The missile and launcher together weigh just 53 pounds. The Javelin is ideal for ambushes on Russian armored convoys, allowing small teams armed with this weapon to stop entire columns. You can fire it from any position, lying down, standing, sitting, even indoors. Another standout feature, its lack of recoil. It has virtually no recoil, just a tiny push forward when you fire. It's completely silent, no need for active ear protection or anything. The FGM-148 Javelin also boasts an exceptional sight system, making it easy for infantry to lock onto their target and take the crucial shot. The launcher works both day and night. It's equipped with a thermal sight and can perform in almost any weather conditions. Here's how a Ukrainian soldier described his first experience using the Javelin sight. It's like looking through binoculars at the terrain ahead. Designed for people. Amazing. superb. Subscribe to the channel to learn more about how other American innovations are performing in real combat. To stay safe in the heat of battle, Ukrainian Javelin operators are very careful about picking the right spot to fire from. When the conditions allow, the perfect firing position checks a few key boxes. The spot needs to be hidden, have cover to duck into after firing, and good camouflage. For 3 years now, Ukrainians have been using the Javelin in battle, taking out some of Russia's most advanced armored vehicles, including the T-90M breakthrough. That showdown was bound to happen, but let's just say it didn't end well for the tank. It rolled out and started firing at our positions. I had time to get ready, set up, connect the launcher, aim, and fire. Everything went smoothly. He's fired plenty of anti-tank weapons, but here's what he likes most about the Javelin. The best thing about the Javelin is you don't have to stick around after firing. Just take the shot, ditch the tube, grab the controls, and run. That extra time can save your life. This soldier managed to take out a Russian T-90M breakthrough worth $4.5 million with a $200,000 Javelin. Talk about a bad day for the Russians. Want to know more about the T-90M breakthrough? Click the link in the top right corner. We've compared it to the American M1 Abrams in the Russian-Ukrainian war, and the results might surprise you. To counter the deadly precision of javelins, the Russians started welding those infamous metal cages onto their tanks. While they might occasionally deflect drone strikes, when it comes to javelins, no chance. They hit targets with 100% accuracy. The grates on tank turrets didn't help the enemy at all. They offered zero protection. Belarusians tried to take it a step further, equipping their T-72s with thermal decoy traps. But here's the catch. Here's what they look like. Will this actually help? Doubtful. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. And did you know the FGM-148 Javelin isn't just for taking out tanks? The missile can even target helicopters. Ukrainians proved it themselves, managing to shoot down a Russian Ka-52 Alligator. At first, it might seem like luck or a one-off, but then they did it again, and this time using their own Stugna missile system. After that, it's hard not to believe anything is possible in this war. To make sure infantry can use the Javelin effectively, Ukraine has opened training centers with simulators to help soldiers perfect their skills. If you need to explain everything calmly and clearly, giving each person the time they need, it clicks. They head into battle and get the job done. To add realism to training, these centers use spent Javelin tubes straight from the battlefield. This is a Javelin anti-tank weapon. This tube saw real combat. After being used on the front lines, it was sent to us. And with these spent tubes, we can design training modules. Ukrainian forces currently have dozens of anti-tank guided missile systems, thanks to Western allies. With so many options, they've found the Javelin to be one of the most user-friendly weapons for training. It's very convenient. It doesn't take much effort to learn how to use it. Before the war in Ukraine, the Javelin had already proven itself in multiple conflicts involving US forces. During the Iraq invasion, it was used against Chinese copies of the T-55 and T-72 tanks. In the Battle of Debeka Pass, a US Army Special Forces platoon armed with Javelins destroyed 2 T-55 tanks, 8 armored personnel carriers, and 4 troop transport trucks, showcasing its devastating firepower. The US also successfully used Javelins in Afghanistan to combat the Taliban. The missiles proved highly effective against vehicles, caves, fortified positions, and even individual targets. Firing a Javelin into a cave destroyed it from the inside, something heavy mortars couldn't achieve from the outside. The psychological impact of the Javelin's launch sound even caused insurgents to abandon their positions. US soldiers also used the Javelin as a mobile surveillance tool. Later, during the Syrian civil war, a Javelin took out an ISIS car bomb, saving American infantry. As history has shown, the Javelin is never redundant. It can become indispensable at any moment. The Russian-Ukrainian war marked a new chapter in the FGM-148 Javelin story. Sending thousands of missiles to Ukraine didn't diminish US military capabilities. In fact, it strengthened them. The US Army signed a $1.3 billion contract to produce more Javelin missiles, launchers, and related services. This is the largest single order for Javelins to date. ensuring the US will refresh its arsenal and create more jobs. The manufacturer, with over 25 international clients, has produced more than 50,000 Javelin missiles and 12,000 reusable command launch units to date. You might wonder, why produce such expensive missiles when an FPV drone costing $500 can destroy a tank? A Ukrainian soldier with 3 years of experience using the Javelin has the answer. During an assault, when electronic warfare, EW, is in play, FPVs don't work as well as we'd like. But Javelins or Ukrainian ATGMs aren't affected by EW. Unlike FPVs, which can be jammed or intercepted, Javelin missiles are unstoppable. That's because EW systems don't work against infrared guidance systems, which the Javelin uses. It has a thermal self-guiding warhead. Once we spot the target and lock it in, the camera tracks it. Fire, and the missile flies. Nothing can stop it. The Javelin arrived in Ukraine at a critical moment, helping to weaken Russia's offensive capabilities. This gave Ukraine the time it needed to strengthen its defenses and prepare for counterattacks. What do you think? In which future conflicts might the Javelin play a decisive role? The Middle East? Africa? Taiwan? Share your thoughts in the comments.